Hello, and welcome back to DFT'S Dungeon. I'm Daniel Terry, and I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video. I'm going to talk about rock bands.
I'm talking about bands that rock!
Or more specifically, Christian rock bands. Been thinking a lot about Christian rock lately, and how a lot of people like to just lump Christian rock into one specific category, and let's be honest, a lot of mainstream rock fans outright dismiss Christian rock completely.
Can't you see you're not making Christianity better? You're just making rock and roll worse.
And while I love Hank Hill, I mostly disagree with him here. The reality of the situation is that Christian rock is actually a vast ecosystem of different sounds and flavors. And in this video, I want to highlight those different textures and flavors. So I've broken Christian rock down into 7 distinct flavors, with 7 bands to highlight each one. And I went with popsicles because, just like popsicles, you were probably exposed to a lot of these bands as a kid or a teenager. This is especially true if you were a teenager in the early 2000s like I was. Now, like I've said in plenty of other videos, I made this video for fun and to highlight a variety of Christian music that I grew up listening to. Please try not to take it too seriously. And this is by no means a comprehensive list of every Christian rock band to ever exist. And make sure to shout out your favorite bands in the comments below so that we can keep this band recommendation train rolling. All right, you guys still with me? Let's pop open the freezer and have a taste of the 7 flavors of Christian rock. Flavor 1, classic cherry CCM. For a lot of people, this is the basic expected experience with Christian rock. This is CCM, or contemporary Christian music. Kind of a broad term. The bands in this category make it their personal mission to provide a very feel-good sound with a lot of heart and emotion packed in. But they rarely, if ever, go so hard rock that they're going to turn anybody's heads. Instead, they try to focus on keeping it smooth enough so that they can appeal to as broad of an audience as possible. So expect a lot of hand claps, acoustic guitars, and repeated choruses. These are the kind of bands that win the Dove Awards. And of course, I'm talking about artists like Jeremy Camp,
No holding back to whatever it takes.
Sanctus Real,
'Cause nothing can stop an unstoppable God. He's not a
Mercy Me,
You gotta shake, shake, shake like you change.
Casting Crowns,
We were made to be courageous, and we're taking back the fight.
Building 429,
All I know is I'm not home yet. This
We Are Messengers, and my personal favorite of the bunch, the more folk rock oriented Rend Collective.
build your kingdom here. Let the darkness.
The ironic thing about CCM is that it is by far the most textured and diverse flavor of Christian rock. And it actually encompasses a lot more than just rock music. I could probably do an entire separate video on CCM and all of the differences between the bands, but I don't really think anybody wants that. Leave me a comment if you want that. But for now, we've got to move on to Flavor 2, Grungy Orange Sunset. Grunge and alternative rock exploded in the 90s and carried on in full force all the way up into the late 90s, even spilling into the early 2000s. And Christian rock was no exception to this. Almost as if it was a response to the more pop-oriented 80s CCM scene and the hairspray-choked spandex of the classic Christian metal scene. Which, don't worry, I will do a video on the classic Christian metal scene eventually. Christian rock bands in the early to mid-90s started experimenting with grungy, catchy alternative rock that would eventually morph into its own movement. Some more popular examples would be bands like DC Talk, Audio Adrenaline,
I hear you speaking, I make some kind of sound, baby. I walk away.
and Third Day.
I need a miracle.
However, there were some even heavier and more experimental bands out there at the time, like Grandma Train, Puller, Fold Zandura, and my personal favorite, Driver 8. These bands absolutely redefined what Christian rock could sound like for me, and made me very interested in checking out more diverse and heavier bands as I got older. This pushed the envelope and kind of made your parents start getting a little bit nervous about the kind of music that you're listening to, but strap in because we're just getting started on that. These grunge and alternative rock bands absolutely paved the way for bands that can be found in the next section. Flavor 3, Electric Lemonade. The bands in this flavor are harder, grittier, and got way more mainstream recognition than the bands that we found in grungy Orange Sunset. And while the music is more aggressive, just like any good lemonade, there's still plenty of sugar here with these bands in the form of catchy choruses and melodic vocals. These bands are going to get stuck in your head. And a lot of these bands had crossover success and were played on mainstream radio. These are bands like Skillet, Seventh Day Slumber, Cutlass, Decipher Down, Disciple, 12 Stones, and my favorite and probably the hardest band in this flavor, Red. These bands often exceeded expectations of what Christian rock could sound like. However, the envelope would be pushed even further when we get into Flavor 4, Sour Applecore. Now, radio rock is cool and all, but whenever I was growing up, I always had this desire to hear something that was a little bit more immediate, something a little bit more aggressive, something more real. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, bands started popping up all over that were mixing hard rock, groove metal, and rap into something that years later we all refer to as nu metal. And just like other popular styles of music in the 90s, there were plenty of Christian bands popping up who channeled their struggles with faith into hard-hitting nu metal albums. These bands delivered down-tuned riffs, distorted slap bass, rapping, and sometimes even throat-shredding screams. The kind of bands that make your conservative mom start asking for prayer at her Wednesday night ladies group. I'm talking about bands like P.O.D., Project 86, Thousand Foot Crutch, Blindside, Love and Death, East West, and my personal favorite of the bunch, Travail. Just like the Jedi Knight, we return. Boy, you wanna get with me, you better listen and learn. We're back to do what's after looking up. Now I realize that we've gone from soft and easy to digest to sour and blistery flavors. So maybe let's cool things down for a minute and talk about Flavor 5, Hipster Green Mint. Not everything is always about anger and screaming. Sometimes it's calmness and introspection that can give us the most meaningful experience in our music. This flavor encompasses a lot more genres like shoegaze, dream pop, and even some lighter emo. These bands can go from bright sunshine to melancholic at the drop of a hat, and are very good at pulling long dormant feelings to the surface. It's music for people that have their coffee orders memorized before they even get to the counter. I'm talking about bands like Starflyer 59, Morellis Forest, May, Waking Ashland, Watashiwa,
When they tell you, you wanna throw it away. So everything I plead because you
Cool Hand Luke, and my personal favorite, 238. And now that we've had a little bit of a breather, let's pick up the pace again with Flavor 6 Blue Pop Punk Berry. This is exactly what it sounds like on the box. This is a selection of the numerous Christian pop punk bands that were all over the place in the early 2000s. These bands kept their music fast, in your face, and in a lot of cases, sickeningly sweet. Like the bands in Electric Lemonade, Christian pop punk bands would sometimes cross over into the mainstream, to the point where it wasn't crazy to catch some of these bands on Warped Tour. Bands like Relient K,
Pressing on, all my stress is going on, pressing on.
MXPX,
Memories me in the park is a crime, blowing up 1,000 times.
Goaty Hook, Value Pack,
My heart is telling me, your mother's crazy birthday. I better put your name in the tape because you're.
FM Static,
I wonder what she's doing when I'm singing myself to sleep.
Hawk Nelson,
I'm like a Sybil and I'm not a Superman. I never said that I was more than that.
and my personal favorite, Slick Shoes.
You won't know what's got to be alone tonight.
And I know right now some of you guys are thinking, Dan, you're just going to act like Christian ska isn't even a thing? And the answer is, I mean, no. But I mean, I also figured that nobody would want that. If you want me to make a video about Christian ska, just let me know. But for now, let's finish off this list with my favorite flavor of them all. Flavor 7, Post Midnight Purple. You know, if you're going to have Christian pop punk bands, then eventually, you know, you're going to end up with Christian emo and post-hardcore bands. It's just how it works. And the bands in this flavor absolutely blew me away when I was in high school, and they rewired my brain, which totally changed my taste in music almost overnight. These bands excel at complex guitar work and melancholic emotional singing that sometimes boils over into throat-shredding screams. A lot of these bands I still listen to on the regular to this very day. I mean bands like Under Oath, Further Seems Forever, Emery, Dead Poetic, Beloved,
We were born for battle. Without the dirt we will die. We were
As Cities Burn,
bullet skies. You get out and if it makes that choice. You get out and if it
and probably the most eclectic band out of the bunch, Showbread.
no foul, cause your boyfriend can't read. What's that after you? It's all the bitter.
And once you get to this flavor of Christian rock, you've gone about as far as you're going to go before you start dipping into Christian metal and metalcore territory. And if you want to hear more about those categories and the bands in those categories, you're in luck because I have a bunch of videos talking about all that stuff. So you should definitely check those out. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos that I'm working on. I will see you guys on the next one.